Is my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today actually uh, we are going to start. Before starting, let me introduce myself. I am Prasanna from CDAC. Okay. Scientist F. Okay, this is scientist F as per the central government. This is a designation, but I am taking charge, that is HOD of cybersecurity and IT and infrastructure here. Okay, so we will be looking into my. Shall we start now? Is it okay? Is my screen visible? Everything is correct?
Yes, sir. Perfect, sir. You can start.
Perfect. Okay, no issues. So we will be looking into three major domains. One is cybersecurity, other one is ZTA, that is zero trust architecture, and penetration testing. Okay, so most of the thing I want you to just hear, uh, because there is not much thing to note actually. Okay, so we will be starting with basics, and we will be slowly progressing towards zero trust architecture and how we are going to do the penetration testing. I hope you will be having some basic understanding of what is meant by vulnerabilities, incidents, something like that. If you are not sure of what you mean by vulnerabilities and incident, you can just put it or send me in chat or something like that. Okay, wherever if you're not able to understand, let me know. I will be able to tell you, maybe explain you in detailed concept. Okay, so this is the agenda for the day. Okay, we will be looking into cyber threat landscape, zero trust architecture, penetration testing, and SOC, something on cloud security. Okay, now we will start with cyber security. This is cyber security landscape. First, what do you mean by cyber security? I will just have a brief terms to be explained so that everybody is in the same page. Okay, when concerned with cyber security, there are few terms that we need to be very sure and what each term means. Okay, the first term is vulnerability. Okay, so vulnerability is something which is known as a weakness of a system. Okay, so any system, any hardware or IT systems you take, definitely it will have some weakness. Without weakness, there doesn't exist any system. Even as a human being or anything will have some weakness. That weakness, the protecting of the weakness is the duty of cybersecurity. Okay. So for an example, if you take a website has lot of weakness. So how we are controlling this weakness when we are getting it exposed to public is using firewalls, web application firewalls or something like that, which before the website is being attacked, which takes care of this attack pattern and try to drop those packets and avoid the attacks. This is how it is mitigated, but the website still has that weakness. Okay, so this is the first term, vulnerability. Now moving on to the second term, which we call it as incident. Incident is a term which is normally used. It is equivalent to an accident. Suppose the website has been exploited or defamed, or there is a data leakage. Data leakage means some data has been taken out of that website to by the hacker or something. We call it as an incident. Incident is similar to an accident where the action has to be taken immediately. Okay, so incident makes use of the vulnerability, the weakness, whichever is there in the system, it will try to exploit that weakness. Okay, and the other term which we need to have is one is risk assessment. The risk assessment is for every system, whether it may be a website or it may be a server or it may be a desktop or whatever it is, every item will have some risk. So what is the risk? What is the impact? Or what is the impact? Impact means if that system is lost or attacked, what will be the impact to the organization or a department? That is called as a risk assessment. So what all the data will be get lost, or the we will be having to pay, or we have to restore from the backup. there is an effort, the manpower effort as well as the financial loss will be there. So those things will be addressed in the risk assessment. I hope these three terms are very much required. Okay. And the fourth term which we are going to know is threat. Okay. Threat is a common word. Threat means the way in which the website or the attack is going to happen. So that is the topic of this slide, threat landscape. What are the different ways through which the website can be reached? Okay, now since it is today's world, any server we can be able to reach from any sitting at any place. So every systems are connected. So the threat landscape, we cannot say that only China is going to target us or Pakistan. No, all over the world, our website is going to be exposed. So the threat landscape is more. And one more concept is due to the advancement of AI and ML technologies, the threat, the way in which the methods in which the exploitation, that is, the website can be attacked or the server can be attacked, there is more number of choices that is provided by AI. And we can also automate the attacks using AI. So these are comes under the threat landscape. So we will discuss one by one, expanding attack surface. As I told you, now instead of a hacker sitting at a home with a laptop, he is trying to use the cloud infrastructure for making the attack. So even if it is getting detected, his physical location will not be detected. It will be a cloud infrastructure. It can be in either AWS or Google Cloud or Azure or whatever it may be. So that is where the expanding of the attack surface has made. Rising incident volume. There are few ransomware attacks, viruses, data breaches. These things, the volume, what we are trying to see in these days, the attacks, the ransomware is more prevalent in these days because they are trying to encrypt your data and asking for the ransom. And you are also have to, if you have to pay, if you want to recover the data, you have to pay the ransom. Okay. And in the case of India, actually there is a national body which we call the CERT-IN. The CERT is something called as Cyber Security Emergency, sorry, Computer Emergency Response Team of India. Okay, this is a national body which is mainly looking after the website attacks. They frequently or periodically inform all the state governments, all the whoever it is. Mostly, I don't think so. It is a private websites. Government websites, mostly they scan regularly for any attack or weaknesses and they report it to the state government for necessary mitigation. Okay. Now the the other thing is reputational damage when a site is being attacked. Okay, what are the impact? That only I was telling you. The impact is reputational damages. For an example, if a school education department is hacked, you lose the credits. Many will phone call or something like that will come into, and the financial loss, as I told you, there will be huge manpower investment and you have to isolate the server, you have to procure new servers or whatever it is, you have to migrate, and the web application should be sanitized and it should be start available to the public for usage. Okay. Uh, is there any other thing that I need to change in my way of telling or something like that? Or is it okay? Hello? Hello?
No, sir. Already we came across all tools and all in the penalty testing. You can
Mm-hmm.
further continue, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. So, so if I can I put it in another way? Because everybody is a faculty or something like that. What you expect from this session? Just to be an interactive. What you wanted to know, or is there any other questions, you can just tell me so that I can concentrate more on that and skip through the initial basic slides. Hello. Hello, is there anything I can?
Sir, can you please go with zero trust architecture, sir?
Zero trust architecture. Okay. Okay. So do you have any basic knowledge on the zero trust architecture, or it is new? Just I wanted to know where I have to, whether I have to cover anything which is basic, or you wanted an advanced one.
You start from that newly, sir.
Here with the basic concepts. Okay.
Yes,
Zero
yes,
trust. Yes. Okay.
yeah.
So zero trust architecture, to have a thing, just I wanted to make you give a overview. First, before that, see, suppose you are sitting within your college, okay, and you are within the firewall, okay. Whatever the internet you are connecting, actually it passes through a firewall, and you feel that your mobile or your laptop or desktop is secured by the firewall. I hope you know what is the duty or the functionality of a firewall. So it protects your laptop or a desktop or something from malicious activity from the internet. Hope this is clear. Okay, but coming to that is the traditional way of securing the system. But today's attack surface is different. Today's attack surface is different. See, we are expecting, we are saying that our college or our department where we are connected behind the firewall as a trusted network, and whatever is outside the this network we call it as untrusted, that is internet. Okay, so we feel that we are safe within the our department network or something like that. But the world has changed. Okay, after 2010 or something like that, from that point of time, what has happened is there is a threat, or the attack surface is more from the inside, that we call as insider threat. Okay, so the hacker is not, in most of the cases, the hacker or the intention. See, suppose a Russian hacker is going to attack your website. He has to have some motive to attack your website. He has to get some money or some fame from his community that he has attacked some colleges, okay, website. So he has to get this too. So without that back motive, the attacker won't be uh, using his intelligence to your department network. So in the most of the cases, in the 80% of the cases, the attacker or the insider is a person who is equivalent to an attacker. We can't say equivalent to an attacker, he is more than an attacker, because the chaos he creates today by the insider is more than the attacker. That is what the zero trust architecture has come inside. I will tell you how. Suppose you are plugging in a USB drive. Unknowingly, you are transmitting some virus or ransomware into your departmental, which is considered as a trusted network. Now it is trying to infect other systems, and it is trying to find what all the resources, that is the IT resources, are being there, which we call it as a lateral entry movement. From one system to another system, it is trying to navigate. So zero trust architecture came into picture, where the inside, that is, there is no concept called as trusted network, whether within, if you are inside the department network or in an internal network. No, everything is considered as zero. You won't trust anybody. Okay. uh, to put it in another example, I will tell you one more thing where we are day in and day out, we are practicing this one. Suppose we think we are conducting examination, that is online examination across the India for the different sectors. Okay, so when, as a research and development body, we will not be there in the field. Actually, in the exam centers, our team, our CDAX persons will not be there, but we have to conduct the exam. But how do we trust the invigilators, the system administrators, the network administrators, whether they can compromise? So the architecture of this exam is designed in such a way there is no trust. We will not be able to trust. So then how we are able to conduct the exam? So whatever we do, it is always verified. That is what is the intention. Suppose if there is a if hello if there is something, which one? What I just forget. If any activity, if it is at an admin level, that invigilator or the center person, the venue manager is trying to do on the examination, this one, it will be cross verified once and twice, and it will be compared with the regular activities if there is any abnormality. So what we are trying to do is always verifying whatever he is requesting, if he is taking a dashboard of the exam and he is trying to do some mapping of the user or a candidate, it will be verified again and again, even if he is a CO observer. That is, we call this as a center observer. Okay, CO. So I hope you understood what is a zero trust actually. First, the foremost thing is you will not be trusting anything, your laptop or your printer or whatever it may be. Nothing will be trusted. There is no trusted environment. And Google is also following the same thing. He has employees across the world. But how, when the employee of a Google connects, okay, to his network, he can also transmit the virus to the Google network. But how it is protected? It is based on this same thing, zero trust architecture. What happens is Google has some agents installed in every laptop of the employee. It will try to find out all the patterns, whether this has antivirus and it has been sanitized, and whether this laptop is registered and the user credentials are correct, and is there any tampering of any hardware device, or whether he has connected any other dongles which will be able to tap. All this will relate or will be giving some scores. When the score reaches some threshold point, if it is more than 90%, this laptop is possible to get it connected to the Google infrastructure. I hope you understood. So this type of verifications is done in the case of zero trust architecture. If you still need any explanation, let me know before. Okay. Now, the core principle is zero trust. So that is never trust, always verify. The no user, device or application is trusted by default. Okay. And there is no implicit trust by the location. That only the main concept. You are within the department network. Okay. You are 100% trusted. No, there is no trust by the location. Even if you are within the department or you are within the server room, no issues. You are not in a trusted network. And there is a process of continuous verification. The verification, if you have seen in most of the cases, what will happen is there is a concept called as tokens in the web transactions, whatever we call it as a tokens. So these tokens keep on updating, keep on verifying you. So at the back end, so if any, as I told you, the agents will be calculating whether this laptop is getting tampered or somebody is using something to which one tamper the data or something like that. If the agent score is less than maybe some 60 or something, so every connections will be cut. You will not be able to get connected with the actual website. So there is a continuous verification. These were the things which were lagging in the traditional concepts, that is without zero trust. So this concept started from 2010 from an analyst, John. Okay, he only coined, there is a concept called as zero trust architecture, and is one of the major field in the case of research and development activity. And this NIST framework, this is the NIST framework which is followed by the US government, federal government. It is actually telling out how the zero trust assessment has to be made, mainly the assessment. Suppose you are saying that you are following the zero trust framework architecture or something in your concern, or maybe in your application or something. This document, this is a standard. It is a standard similar to 27001, ISMS 27001, or ISO 9000. 9000 doesn't come to IT. It is a process standard. Mostly 27001, it relates to information and security standard. Okay, so in a similar fashion for zero trust framework, this is the standard. Okay, and these are the principles. Verify explicitly, that is authenticate and authorize. I hope you will be knowing what is the difference between authentication and authorization. Authorization is the major thing which allows that whether this person, that is, suppose you have entered your department, which room or which place you can occupy. That is the authorization, whether you are authorized to sit in this place. Even though you are authenticated, authenticate means you are able to enter into your department using your ID card or something, but where or which place you are authorized to sit, that defines the authorization. So the other thing what we need to do is, whatever be the, actually there is a resource and the user is trying to access the resource. User is trying to access some resource can be anything. It can be a web application, or it can be a printer, or it can be a scanner, or whatever it is. We call it as by a term called as a resource. So suppose a user wants to access this resource, every time this resource will be given a least privilege. That is, this user will be able to do only certain functionality. Suppose for an example, the normal, if you take a printer, suppose it has four functionalities we will assume. It is able to copy, it is able to scan, it is able to fax, and it is able to print. But what is required at that point is only print, means only the print will be allowed to the user. Okay, so whatever, whenever the user is being created and authorized, authorization is only given for the printing. It is not given for the others. So this minimizes the users from using other services. So if a user needs a scanning option, it will be given as an extra. But by default, least privileges saying that you have to have only the printing option. And the next one is assume breach. So whenever you are developing, what we are thinking, as we are saying, there is nothing called as trusted. So whatever you do, even if you are in a server room saying that, yes, I am fully secured, no, everything will, you think that the hacker is inside your network. So think like that. And you are along with the hacker and you wanted to access this resource. So how secure you will be trying to do? That is what is the intention, what we mean by assume you are already breached. You have been breached and you are living along with a hacker. That is the complete meaning of it. Then this is called as a micro segmentation. Suppose even though the hacker is inside, he wants to analyze the other, maybe what we call it as the other resources, what you can use. He will be trying to navigate to the one system to another system. So what we mean by micro segmentation is, suppose in every department, maybe in Panimalar also, there will be one subnet IP address, maybe 10.236 or something like that, which will be used across all the systems in the college. There will be a default. It is the methods all being followed by most of the concerns. Now what happens if a hacker gets one IP address, he is able to scan all 65,000 IP addresses in that network. That is the great problem, because in this 65,000, that is, I am not going deep inside of the 65,000, how I arrived at 65,000. It is the network subnet concept. Okay, so that 65,000 systems, we cannot say that everybody is hardened or it is secured. There will be one person with a weak point. So he will be trying to use that one point. So 1 in 65,000, he will be able to. But when we are implementing this micro segmentation, what happens? See, a lab with 20 systems will have a separate network. So even if the hacker is inside that lab, okay, he will be able to scan only the 20 system. He will not be able to go to the lab 2. So by this way, what happens is the narrowing down, the attack surface is being minimized. Even if there is an attack from the hacker, or it is a what he is trying to scan or do something manuring or something like that, nothing will happen, because 20 system only will get breached. The other networks, in comparing the 65,000, it will be safe. And whatever you do, that is why what we are calling as continuous monitoring. We are finding the trend of that lab. For an example, 20 systems, what is the pattern? Every day it starts at 9 and every day it stops at 4 o'clock. Okay. If there is some system, some bandwidth or some packet is getting transferred from that lab at a night 9 a.m., 9 p.m. or something like that. So then there is a alert generated why that system got on. And there is a justification. That is the team which will be speaking out in SOC. Okay. So this is the main thing of continuous monitoring. Now coming back to the tools which we need to use for the zero trust architecture. One is called as an identity, that is IAM. Okay, identity access management, multi-factor authentication, single sign-on. These are the various things that can be implemented for authentication purpose as well as authorization purpose also. Okay, and in the case of devices, the endpoint posture health check. That only I said, every agent, every endpoint or every laptop will have agents. The agents, before connecting or before allowing any access to the resource, it will do a complete check whether the laptop is sanitized, whether the user is sanitized, everything clear, only then only it will be allowing the access to the segment. Now coming back to the network segmentation we have talked about. The other things, applications and workload identity. Here I wanted to tell you, how many of you know, I don't know. For each application also, we have a name. Name means not an application name, what we are talking about. There is an identity. Just like a user gets an user ID, application will also have a application ID. So this application, if he wants to access a database on behalf of the application, it needs to get authenticated as well as authorized to move into. So it is not only the user who are getting the identity, it is also the device as well as the application, website application also will get the identity, and they also have to get authorized and authenticated. Okay. And for other thing is data classification. As I mentioned in the beginning, risk assessment. During risk assessment, you will be classifying the item, either it may be desktop or server or website. If it is attacked, what will be the loss? So whether it should be a critical one, so it will be considered as a critical, mean the critical policy, that is the critical systems will have certain things. The backup has to be taken, and this is the frequency defined, and this system has to be physically monitored by every 2 hours by a person or something. So this is comes under the critical classification. Suppose there will be high means what are the type of measures we have to take, and the same thing applies to high, medium, etc. The encryption and DLP also you'll be knowing. The visibility analytics, that is the major activity of SOC. As I mentioned, every activity, whatever happens in the network will be monitored by the SOC team, that is Security Operations Center team. They will find the abnormality, different type of trends in that. Then according to that, they will act. Now this is the standard. The main thing what we need to do is, as I said, there is a user at the left hand side, and there is a policy enforcement point, PEP, and there is a policy decision point. Mostly this PEP is sits on your laptop or the endpoint device itself. Most of the time, it is not uh, what we can say it should be there, but in most of the cases, the policy enforcement point, that only, as I said, there is an agent which validates from which device you are trying to access, whether it is sanitized or whether it is properly secured or something like that, whether the antivirus is installed, everything. Those profiles will be taken care by policy enforcement point. And policy and decision point is the major person. It is like an administrator or a server where it only defines, okay, this person with this MAC address, this IP address is allowed to access the resource. So the decisions or the what we can say, it's like a ID card. Okay, somebody is issuing, the HR department who is issuing will be coming under the policy decision point to mimic. And the policy enforcement point is something like a security person who sits at the gate or the entrance. He looks at the ID card and matches your face. Okay, done. Because it is authorized, okay, you can go. Because it is signed by a person who is in PDP. And he can enter into the resource. Here the resource is the campus. Okay. I hope, is there any other doubt from up to now?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So now, now zero trust versus the traditional perimeter security. We have discussed this one, but there is a tabular column that I will tell you. What is the trust model? Implicit trust once inside the network. As I said, if you are within your department, you think that you are safe, and your laptop is connected to a secured zone, and whatever activity you do, it is secured by the firewall or the perimeter that we call as a perimeter. In the case of zero trust, there is no boundary defined, there is no trust at all. So even if you are sitting within your department or within your lab or whatever it may be, it is considered as zero. The network design, there is, as I mentioned, a large scale of only one subnet with 65,000 systems can speak with each other. But here it is segmented. Each one is in a small group. Even if one group gets compromised, that group only gets infected. Access control, in a earlier case, if you are entering into the campus, you are able to move to various different departments or blocks. But now there is a granular means there is a slip. Suppose there is a gate pass slip, you will be allowed to that block alone, that department alone. So that level of access control we are making, similar to the authorization where you are authorized to move in. The breach containment, as I said in the earlier case, the breach affects all the 65,000 systems. Here in that case, it is limited due to the segmentation. Only 20 systems gets affected. Monitoring, in the previous case, it was only the firewall team or the server person or whoever is a system administrator. He will be seeing the what all activities that is happening in the firewall, or what is the traffic is moving, and whether the servers are in proper condition. But here, in the case of zero trust, every endpoint comes under the monitoring. So if you wanted to enable, suppose if you wanted to move towards zero trust architecture for your thing, these are the tools or the solutions which you need to be in place. That is identity access, multi-factor authentication, IAM and PAM, And this side, if you're coming, you have to have a micro segmentation in place. That is, your network will be in different chunks. That and all is taken care by net of stream, because they know there is a concept called as a VLAN that they will try to implement. It doesn't. And the EDR, that is an endpoint protection and detection mechanism we have. It will try to safeguard your laptop from viruses or trojans or something. And as I said, there is a SOC team which is having the entity user entity behavior analytic. That is, whatever the trend or the abnormalities, there will be a team which will be using this type of UBA tools to monitor the activity. Now coming to the zero trust. In the case of VPN, I hope you know what you mean by VPN, or if you are familiar with a work from home solution. So once you get connected to your department, you will be able to access all your laptops, or all your lab systems or something servers. But in the case of zero trust, it is not the case. You will be able to access only the resources. Again, I am saying you are not able to access the system. You will be able to access the resource. Resources can be an application. Only one application you will be able to access, maybe your internal IHRMS application or your financial application. But in earlier cases, that is without zero trust architecture, what would happen is, once you enter into your network, you will be taking a remote. For an example, we will assume it is a remote, any desk, or what we call ultra viewer or something. You will be able to access anything from there. But in the case of zero trust architecture, you will be able to access the application which have been granted alone. The same thing, application level access, you will not be given the full network access in the case of zero trust. It is not related to VPN. I'm just saying. So this is the roadmap of how you have to implement zero trust architecture in your concern or in any applications if you are talking about. First, identify or protect the surface, what we normally wanted to protect. As I was mentioning, it is considered as a resource. Either it can be app, it can be a server, or it can be a server room, or it can be a lab. No issues. Then what you wanted to protect has to be transformed to the flows. Flows means whether this user is able to access. Yes, it is similar to a flow. That flow architecture we will be trying to write. Then architect the network. Network means the micro segmentation we will be trying to do. Then policies has to be created. Who can access, when they can access, what they can access, what are the resources, either it may be a printer, scanner for an example, what everything is detailed. So, and whenever he is trying to access or whenever the system is idle, there will be continuous verification as well as the validation. And the challenges what we come across normally in migrating towards a zero trust architecture is legacy system integration is complex, because most of the legacy system or legacy switches, suppose you're talking about the network, most of the switches, if it is unmanaged switch, then there will be a problem in creating the micro segmentation. So those things we call it as a legacy means it is a old type of architecture which cannot be replaced without a major um, involvement of finance or something like that. And if it is going to be cultural or organizational resistance where you wanted no privacy is being getting into, you are trying to monitor everything, all my activity. So those kinds of things are coming into picture, and there is a cost of upfront cost is there. And so what we normally do is start with a phased and iterative rollout. What we mean that, suppose you have a network with a managed switches, we can have a segmentation which will help us to contain the infection within that segment alone. So like that, small things we can do as in a phased manner. Okay, up to now, is there any doubt you wanted to have, or you wanted to have any use cases? Means let me know. I will try to explain in the case of ZTA also.
So we need a use case, sir. For example, we are and discussing in home. Okay, when we are going for devices, that will be appear in the devices. How it is possible? So zero trust is working
Ma'am,
or not?
your voice got cut. Actually, can you repeat it again?
Yeah, when we are discussing anything in a home,
Hmm.
for any discussions, that when we are going for any device search, automatically the search will be coming. How it is possible? Is it a zero trust will not working on devices?
No, ma'am, still I'm not very clear. See, you are at home. Okay, so you are trying to
Suppose
whatever.
sir, actually we are discussing to paint in my homes. Okay,
Hmm,
so I'm
hmm,
not searching anything in the related to your paint work in the on my devices. But
hmm.
the thing automatically that advertisement is coming. We can do this, that Asian paints, everything is coming. How it is possible?
Ma'am, this is actually not related to zero trust architecture, but
Uh,
even though I will tell you what it is actually. See,
uh,
whatever, tell me, ma'am.
no, no. Okay, sir.
See, this is called as
Mm.
actually in penetration testing also there is a concept where we will be trying to scan you or we will be trying to monitor you. Okay, based on the monitoring or whatever your pattern is, we will be able to advertise. For an example, suppose you have Googled something you wanted to have paint your home. Okay, it is taken by the Google and it is given to an advertise, maybe the Google ads or something like that, from where the advertisement comes into picture. Okay, this cannot be addressed in zero trust architecture as of now. Okay, but this is the leakage of your information to other sites. Okay, most of the thing what you have to do is in the Google there is a consent form. Actually, the what is the policy that is there, they are taking your data. The consent is you have already given the consent that your data whatever you are setting can be used for the analysis or the research purpose. So in that same fashion they are using it, the Google rules may be used. Okay, so any other use cases you want, means if you want I will tell you one more use case if you require.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir. We need a use case, sir.
I will give you a use case. So see, suppose what we are trying to do is zero trust architecture. Okay, um, we as we have mentioned. Okay, we are conducting on an online exam. Okay, so based on that use case itself, I will tell you. So as I mentioned, since CDAX being an R&D, they cannot be on the field. Field means they cannot be on the exam centers. They can give their technologies to the vendors or somebody, okay, who will be implementing or using it on the ground, that is the exam centers. So our solution should not be getting tampered. This is our intention. So we don't know to whom the application or the exam software is being given, or we are not sure whether the exam center, maybe for an example, in Rajasthan there is one exam center, we are giving it to that person. It is not given by the CDAC directly, it is given to one person, okay, intermediate person. Okay, that person is conducting the exam across the nation, so he is distributing our software across the nation. So we are not sure, in Rajasthan somebody is very smart, he wants it to ethically, you know, he wants to tamper the examination software what is trying to do, and one guy is sitting at Uttar Pradesh or Lucknow, he is trying to do the reverse engineering, what how they are secured. I wanted to tamper or I wanted to uh, give answers. Okay, I wanted to hack that one. So this is the objective of this examination system. So what CDAC has used is it is using trying to use the zero trust architecture. What we mean by that is whatever happens, suppose our application, okay, should be running in a system where it has to meet all the criterias, not only date, time, etc. It has, for an example, 48 parameters that will be checked. Suppose we are giving a software that is installed in a laptop. For running that software itself, before the application starts, it will try to do 48 checks. In that, few checks will be connecting it to the centralized server. Few checks will be connecting it to a few servers, that is external servers. And those servers has to tell, okay, it has to give some code. Okay, that code will be again sent it to some other centralized server. Okay, so everything, it is like a token that is being navigated. Once everything matches, only this application will start. Okay, this is one type of where we are trying to avoid the tampering of our software itself. Okay, now coming back to while the exam is running, so he is authenticated. Now he is able to conduct the examination. Now the application is up and running. But during that time, whether he is able to capture the packets from the network and try to modify or capture the packets which are moving towards database where the answer is being written into the database, whether he is trying to manipulate those packets, that we need to find it out. So what we have done is we have implemented a system called as using PKI infrastructure, that is you will be knowing public key infrastructure, where it is a complete encryption between the client, that is the client, the system where the students answer, and the server is an application where between them there is a communication. Everything is encrypted, but we can say, sir, it is encrypted. He is not able to change the which one, the payload. Yes, 100%. He will not be able to change the payload. But what is happening in the real life? Whether the student is answering or the hacker is answering from his system. If he is going to the hack, that is the client system or the student system is taken as a remote. Okay. Now the remote means the hacker is taking the remote of the student system and he is trying to provide the answer. He is trying to click. Now to the application, it means that the student is answering. But we wanted to find it is taken a remote and the hacker is doing the remote session and he is trying to answer on behalf of the student, because the client system is authenticated, authorized to do the answering, and it will be taken. But this remote desktop activity is not what we are not covering it in our scope. Now, what we have done is, up to now it is clear, ma'am. These are the problem statement which we have tried to address. The last problem statement I will try to address.
Yes, sir.
Again,
Yes, sir.
what we have done is,
Okay.
in the client system, as I mentioned, there is a PEP, there is a checks that is happening. So whenever there is a remote connection that is taken in the client system, that is the student system, we are analyzing any new connection except the primary server, that is the primary exam server. Any connectivity is happening between the client system to any other person in the world. So it will say, I hope you will be knowing, there is a command TCP handshake where we will be having an established state. So we are trying to find, other than the primary server, is there any other state established to any other servers or any other system? If it is, we will be trying to log the connection and alert the invigilator saying that there is some other person who is taking the remote, or not the remote, some connection is being happened. So this is the way methods. I cannot say the entire thing, but I hope you understood the use case where we are trying to protect. There is a continuous monitoring of the system, the client system. During the examination also, there is, we are trying to avoid any new connectivity that is getting connected to the client, so that only a connection is being established to the primary exam server. There is none other connectivity which says that there is no other person sitting inside the laptop. Is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shall we proceed to the next one? This is
Yes, sir.
PT. PT,
Yes, sir.
that is
Yes.
the penetration testing and ethical hacking. See, whatever I have said is an internal thing, but you
Yes.
can't use it for your thing. You can't, don't expose it to the others. Okay.
Okay.
Like this, we have many parameters which we are trying to do on
Okay.
the zero trust framework. Okay.
Okay, sir.
No, whatever I have said, it is between the servers and a client, but there are many checks on the
Mm.
human also. Okay.
Oh,
Human
oh.
means invigilators,
Yeah,
the
okay.
venue managers, something it will be similar. So everything is put together, only it is a zero trust framework. It is not
Okay.
only this much. Okay.
Mm.
Coming back to the PT, that is penetration testing and ethical hacking. Okay. PT, normally we called VAPT. I hope you have this word in picture, VAPT. So VA is something called as vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Vulnerability assessment, as I told you in the beginning, vulnerability is the first word I have defined you. Vulnerability is something which will expose the weakness of a system. The system or a resource can be anything. Okay. Everything has a weakness. Without weakness, you can't have a system, okay, into picture or into existence. So now we are not going to detail about the vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment, the report that is generated will tell you what all the weakness that the system has. Okay. Now the weakness is there. Now the penetration testing is something advanced concept. Advanced concept, no, it is a follow-up activity of VA. So in the case of penetration testing, what happens is the weakness which has been explored or exposed to the outside world is trying to we are trying to exploit it. Exploit means we are trying to use that weakness. Okay. So this is called as a penetration testing. So hope the thing is clear. If you still don't understand, if you want, I
Yes,
will
sir.
give one more example. Okay. Suppose there is a blackmail. Okay. We will assume that you are trying to blackmail your friend. Based on what, there will be some information which you know, but others doesn't know. So you are trying to blackmail. So that friend obeys whatever command you say. The similar fashion, in the case of penetration testing, there is a weakness. Okay, that weakness we are going to exploit. That is, we are going to use it using penetration testing. We have lot of tools, maybe commands, okay, etc., etc. One by one, we will get into. One is uh, authorized simulated cyber attack to evaluate the security posture. The penetration test normally is done to maybe what we can say it, how strong, that is how resilient you are. Suppose I am trying to attack your website, whether you are able to withstand my attack. Okay, so okay, now I have attacked. It is the site is defamed. Okay, but how long you will take, or the data center operator or the system administrator or whatever we call, take time to restore it back. That is also coming under the penetration testing. That is the post activity. So it will tell us how resilient the system is. Always requires a written authorization, rules of existing. This and all is something. Vulnerability assessment, as I said, it identifies the weakness. Penetration testing actually exploits the weakness. And the red team is a person who tries to attack. Normally, red team is a person who is like an attacking team. There is one more team. We have many teams. The opposite of this is a blue team, which is going to defend this attack. Now, penetration testing, we have what we call as black box. Okay, black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing. I'm just brushing it through. Black box testing, similar to an hacker who doesn't take any permission but attack. White box, we are saying the upfront, the department, we are trying to attack your website. So be careful, everybody, be safe. That's it. Gray box testing, partial knowledge. Normally, the certain national bodies who try to do it called as a gray box testing. Okay, it is not a full-fledged testing. It is a gray box. At least at what level your website or something is resilient or something. So the target applications is, it can be a network or your network, that is the network infrastructure, whether he can enter into your network. How you can enter into your network, that is through access point. Suppose if your access point allows a guest user and he is able to get connected to your network, that is a weak point. Okay, web application, social engineering, etc., etc. If you need something, let me know. I'm just brushing it. So there are some standards. There are OWASP standard is the main thing. Actually, it is a vulnerability standard which we have for top 10 standard. So in that there are a lot of listing, cross-site scripting, SQL injection, broken authentication, security misconfiguration. So you can Google it, OWASP standard. There we will be having top 10 vulnerabilities which are listed. So every site has to at least what we can say mitigate or should have a control measure on this top 10 vulnerabilities. Then only you will be able to host. Otherwise, what will happen is these are the weakness which is exposed and the hacker will try to use that weakness. So these are the phases normally what is being done. Okay, one is pre-engagement. First and the foremost thing is the scope. What I wanted to achieve when I'm going to attack you, whether my objective is like a ethical hacker means he is trying to make your system resilient means he is going to identify the weakness. See, I am able to identify the weakness sitting outside. So in a similar fashion, hacker will also able to see these weakness, so try to address. This is the concept, that is the scope. Okay, so next comes under conventions. This is actually a passive and active information gathering. What we normally do, suppose before a thief steals your home or something like that, he what we can say, he visits your seats, he finds how many, what are the movements of the traffic movements at your seat or near your corridor, everything. It is kind of a passive as well as an active information scanning. Okay, normally in the case of IT, it is normally based on Instagram, Facebook, where he tries to find you, whether you have what we can say whether you have left your home or something like that. Those things can be seen. I will tell you, I am just expressing with real time. Okay, but everything we have a tools which will be doing for the websites, for the IT system. Then scan and enumerate. Again, as I mentioned, the scanning is a process where we will be seeing what are the weakness through network, the network weakness point through which we can enter into a system. And enumerate is So knowing the weakness, this weakness can be exploited with using how many options. That is the enumeration concept you will be knowing. Then once it is enumerated, that is the what we call this is the options. These are the options. Each options will be exploited. We will be trying to exploit, because every enumeration will not lead to an attack. There will be only one possible, because it is not a single layer. Suppose a thief is able to break your main door, you will be having a cupboard which is having a locker or something like that. He will not be able to break it. So it is like a layered concept. So before doing any attack, there is an enumeration. Enumeration is plan A, plan B, plan C, like that. He will be listing out what all things he has to do. So he will trigger one by one. Whichever is making success, then he will try to enter into a system. Then something will happen, and that also I will tell you. So this is the exploitation where he is trying to gain access into a system. Post exploitation is something normally a hacker doesn't do. Once he enters into the system, he will not exploit you. He will not create any damage. He will try to be there within the system, that is within your resource, for long. He will try to look into other resources, whatever the other resources you have. As I said, he is entering into one system, infected system. From that infected system, he will try to monitor other system, that we call it as a lateral entry movement. Okay, so he will try to do these, and whether he will be able to move from one system to another system using again the same thing, exploitation or something, he will be able to do it like that. He will be, then the reporting phase, whatever things he has found in the system, or the way in which he has entered into the system, everything is called as a finding and remediation. So this is the passive. We have passive monitoring as well as active monitoring. In the case of passive, it is like saying what is the address, public IP of panimallar.com or something like that. These are social media where nothing has happened and all the data is exposed to the public. It is the hacker does nothing. It is exposed by the department itself to the public world. From there, he gathers the information. What is this department doing? Whether there is any web application that is hosted, which is very critical and which is having payment gateway, like those things and all will be known by the this passive kind of information gathering. In the case of active information gathering, he tries to. What do you mean by active and passive? I will tell you. In the case of passive, you will not be able to identify who is public and who is hacker. In the case of active scanning, you will be able to identify who is hacker and who is public. Because for an example, a public opens a panimallar.com once, maybe in an 1 hour period, or in maybe in a 10 minutes, he will try to open the website once. That is, the request hit is only one. But in the case of hacker, the hit will be per minute, it will be more than 100. For an example, that is where he now what happens is you will be knowing this IP. So you are mapping him to a which one, what we call it as hacker, because normal user hit the panimallar.com once, but there is a hit which is having within a period of 1 minute there is 100 hit. So now this particular IP address is a hacker's IP address, or something is happening abnormally. So these are some tools. So Kali Linux when can be used. Okay, can I speed up or you want elaborate this one? You will be knowing Kali Linux.
Sir, we across this last 2 days. So
Okay,
we
then
installed a Kali Linux and a
Nmap,
wireframe.
ma'am.
We have. Yes,
This
sir.
one.
This also we have done it, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Vulnerability scanning, Nmap or something like that, Nikito, NSS.
Uh, we didn't go for Nikito, sir.
All are scanning tools, but in the case of Nessus, if you use Nessus, it is okay. Or Nessus is a proprietary one, okay, which can do, as I said, it will try to give the weakness of a website application or a OS, that is a server or a desktop. It will try to give. The Nessus is a proprietary one, but there is a community edition also where you can scan 16 IP addresses, 16 resources, okay, using the community edition you can do. But there are many tricks also. You can use the Nessus continuously, not only 16, because you can keep on changing your email ID, because the community edition is typed with the email ID. So suppose if you are having 5 email IDs, you will be able to scan 16 into 5, 80 websites. So this is how it goes. OpenVAS, again, it is a open source version, but it is having something which is less. The signature mapping is, we can't say that yesterday there was a vulnerability. OpenVAS will have that vulnerability. Whether it will be able to detect that vulnerability means it won't be able to detect, because it is a open source. We need to customize the signatures every day. But in the case of Nessus, if it is a proprietary, those signatures are available and it gets updated. Okay, seamlessly, nothing to worry. And there is a concept called as CVE and CVSS. Okay, so CVE, I hope it is a common vulnerability exposure identifier. Uh, do you know these two things? CVE and CVSS. This is normally used in hackathon also. CVE is an identifier. Okay, whenever you find some weakness, okay, that weakness you are going to report it to some CVE. Maybe we can expose it to any website that there is a CVE website itself. There you can just tell if that is going to be a valid vulnerability which you have exposed. Suppose you think you are using Windows and you come across a weakness which is not identified by anybody, or Windows itself has not identified, and it is a new weakness which you have identified. When you are plugging in some, for an example, we will say that when you are plugging in a Logitech camera, without switching on the camera you are able to see your faces or something like that, then it is a weakness you are feeling it. Without switching on or starting the camera, you are able to view the pictures. It is a grave weakness, because it is like a, because then the camera, if it is getting plugged it and anywhere, it is starting on its own. It is a weakness before giving any command. So you can expose that weakness to a CVE repository. It will generate an identifier, and the Logitech, the OEM, will create a patch for it, and that patch can be used. So this is how. And the CVESS score is something which tell us how strong the weakness is. How strong means what is the impact, what is the financial loss, what all things comes under the scope. Suppose if it is going to affect only one laptop, or whether it is going to affect the server OS, or whether it is going to affect the website or something like that, we can say it has various factors to arrive at, and that score ranges from 0 to 10. The 10 is the highest critical one. And the Metasploit, ma'am. Okay, the Metasploit is an actual thing. Okay, here you need much knowledge on the Metasploit, because this is the one which is going to exploit. Exploit means you have the weakness and you wanted to make use of that weakness. Means Metasploit in Kali Linux can be used. MSF framework, Metasploit framework. Okay, you can use. Here we have given. See, there is a weakness using SMB protocol. Okay, server message block protocol. So it is trying to create a payload. Payload means what we call an attacking packet, like a weapon, like a bow and arrow. It is trying to create a payload. That payload will be injected to the target IP, what we call as a remote host, and it is a local host. The target IP will be getting that packet, and that packet will, if it is able to break through and come into your system, then this is the exploit we will be using. As I told you, there will be lot of enumeration that will be happening. So enumeration means plan A, plan B, like that we will be having a plan. So the first plan will be with this SMB protocol. Second will be like an NTP protocol or something like that. We have one plans. So each weakness will be trying to exploit. Whichever weakness we are able to get access, hopefully we have entered into your system. Okay, and you have a password cracking tool. I don't know whether this can be done. Ma'am, is it okay? Are you familiar? John the Ripper, Hashcat, Hydra. These are the tools. Otherwise, I will just brush up. See, normally, normally password attacks. Suppose you are having the password file. Okay, from the Windows, you are giving the password file, and the password file means where the password is, the password hash file is stored. Okay, once the hacker gets into your system, he tries to find this file alone, and he tries to take this file out of from the your system, and he will try to give it to this tools. Okay, what happens is it will try to find the combination, that is a brute force or the dictionary attack, and try to find the administrator's password or any password which we is able to find it out. So these are the tools, Hydra, John the Ripper, Hashcat. These tools will be able to decipher or decode the hashed password to a meaningful password, which he can enter and he can log in straight away instead of coming through backdoor. He will be trying. For an example, a website has a admin password also. Mostly the user is, for an example,
Sir,
we
excuse me, sir. Last class we done it all that John
okay,
replicate in hands on itself, sir.
okay. Now
And
this standard, who has standard top 10. So this also is okay. I will try to skip. This post exploitation, actually once he enters, as I told you, there is a lateral movement. What we mean by lateral movement is he will try to find, because now he is inside your department, he will try to find other systems where he can move on. This we call it as a lateral movement. This is one type of activity where he will try to control your entire system, entire network. Then privilege escalation, normally via the hacker uses a weak exploit, and he will be with a limited privilege. Limited privilege means he will not be as an administrator. So now once within the system, he will try to escalate his privilege because he will try to become an administrator. Administrator means maybe a root user or the user ID belongs to 0. So those types of activities, a privilege escalation might happen. Then it is a normal reporting, whatever he has find. So any doubts in PT? If you want any other things on PT, let me know.
so fine. Thank you.
Fine. Now we will go to the this one, SOC, threat intelligence and cloud security, the concept. So what we mean by SOC is Security Operation Center. As I told you, there will be a team of person. Normally, in the case of IT department means what industries is having. There will be majorly 3 to 4 teams. Okay, for the IT infrastructure. One we called as a system teams who will be taking care of the end user. Okay, then there will be a NetOps team, network operations team who was taking about the connectivity, and there is one more team which we called as a SecOps, that is a security operations. Those people sit under SOC, that is called as Security Operations Center. The last team is a compliance team, which we called as everything is happening as per the process and the policies that has been documented. These are the 4 teams. So we are going to talk about the Security Operation Center. Normally in Security Operations Center, we will be having an incident analyst, vulnerability analyst, security analyst, or we can call as an exploitation analyst also is will be there. Okay, so then the threat intelligence. What we mean by threat intelligence, who does it, how you are getting the intelligence, those things also I will be able to explain you. And coming back to the cloud security, we will be just brushing through. Now going to Security Operations Center. Uh, so as I mentioned, there will be a continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring of what? Actually, in the case of network, for an example, network team will be using network NMS, that is network management solution or service, to monitor the bandwidth utilization. But this team is not concerned with the bandwidth or the network packet. They are mainly monitoring the security events. What we mean by security events, that also I will tell you. If there is an authentication failure or an authorization misuse, okay, those events, that alone, that part alone, they will be trying to monitor. Why there was an authentication failure? Why there was a what we can say, the password has failed for 3 times, the authentication has failed for 3 times. So those type of monitoring and the analysis part will be carried out by the SOC team. Okay, and there will be a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 and SOC manager. The triage team normally validates whether whatever has happened. Suppose you are trying to have a authentication failure, so he will not immediately raise an alert. He will try to find out whether on the second and the third attempt, whether he was able to log in. But in the case of repeated, then only he will try to, okay, there is some abnormality. Either he will try to call the person, whether you have done the activity, just like Google, it will be sending a security message to your phone. There is a new login from one system, from area, from a different location, whether it was the same. So it is just like the tier 1 activity, which the Google tries to confirm. Yes, you are only trying to access your Gmail account from some other location, from your vacation point or something like that. Okay, tier 2, once that is clear, yes, it is an incident that has happened, the tier 2 will have an investigation. In the case of investigation, what we will try to find is why it has happened. Okay, why it has happened, or what all the ways in which he has come. In the case of threat hunting, okay, in the case of threat hunting, what is the exploit he has used, and whether he is sitting inside. That is, exploit means, as I told you, there will be different ways in which the resources can be entered, can be attacked. So, in which way the hacker has come into the picture. Threat hunting, one more activity in the case of research or intelligence activity, what we try to do is we try to Google, or maybe see the internet, not Google. We will be looking into the internet to find new ways by which the hacker is trying to enter the resource. It is not only a particular resource, what I'm talking about, the new ways that is discovered by the hacker. Sir, if the hacker is discovering, how you will be coming to know? No, it is not like that. There only the threat intelligence part comes. Normally, every pattern, that is the packet which the hacker or the normal user who is trying to browse, it passes through an ISP router, which we call it as Internet Service Router, Internet Service Provider Router. So we will try to capture those packets, and we will try to find the flow, the pattern. So if there is a different pattern which the maybe malicious guy or the hacker is trying to do. So what he is trying to achieve at an ISP level, maybe the ISP level, what we are talking about is maybe Airtel, Geo, Reliance, Railtel, Power Grid, etc. These are the places where CERT-IN, the national body, keeps a trap, which we called as a trap, is called as a honeypot there. So these honeypots sit and find the pattern which is passing through. So by that only we are getting the threat intelligence. That threat intelligence, once we found, okay, he has attacked the system, this is the pattern he is using, that will be given to the world, or there is a trusted sources, which we called as a threat feed. So from the trusted sources, we will be extracting the threat feed, which will tell us what are the different ways the hacker is using these days as on date. Okay. Now we will move to the thing. The SOC workflow, this is the activity that is carried out. One is alert. That is, once you get the, as I told you, it is a security event alert. Once the alert is being seen in the dashboard, what is the dashboard? I have two tools, that also I will tell you what is the two tools that we normally use here, but it is general across the SOC. Okay. When the alert comes, we will be trying to find the, as I mentioned, we will try to find whether it is genuine, whether it is a genuine or whether it is a fake. Fake, we can't say, it can be a false positive or something like that. So then we will try to find the root cause. Then we will be issuing the patch, which we call it as a contain, or we will try to isolate the system if the what activity cannot be controlled. We will be trying to isolate. This is where the containment comes. That is the limit the damage. We don't want it to spread across the other systems. Eradicate and recover. Of course, once the patch has been put into, what all things it has to sanitize, all the what we can say, all the hacker put in files, everything will be deleted, and it will be backed up for further activity, or for the postmortems or something like that, which we called as a forensic activity, that will be taken care, and the recovery from the backup. Then the lessons learned will be, that is where the SOC has to do the work. Lessons learned means, suppose we think a polymer has recovered from a serious incident, it will be propagated to other colleges so that they are also in protected. Because as I told you, hacker will be inside. Okay, he will not attack the day in which he has entered your college or something. So he will be there only. He will try to find one auspicious day to attack. Maybe it is a January 14 or a January 1st or December 25. He will be trying to wait for that, so that to create a complete chaos. Okay, so once this incident happens, maybe we can spread it to other entities. Maybe we have many entities to spread. If possible, I will try to say. Otherwise, I don't know whether the upcoming slide has that information. Normally we try to share our findings to CERT-IN, NC, IIPC. That is, there is one information protection center. Okay, that one, and IB, normally Intelligence Bureau, and one more guy is there, that is cyber crime, and one more guy is also there. We call them by NIC CERT. Okay, that is National Informatics, NIC, cert, he is also running. So these are the bodies which we try to share, okay, the informations. So this is what the two tools. These two tools are the common name. It is just like a network monitoring solution or something like that, what we call it as an Apache. Apache is a general term. In a similar fashion, it is SIM and SOR. SIM is Security Information and Event Management. As I mentioned, it will be monitoring the security events alone. And SOR is Security Orchestration and Automation and Response. The difference between these two, I will tell you. In the case of SIM, it will try to trigger the alert. The action has to be taken by the analyst, or whoever is monitoring the system has to take the action. What is the action? Whether he has to call or whether he has to isolate or do something down. In the case of SOR, what happens is the action is taken by the system itself. Suppose if you think there is some what we can say, there is an uploading of a data from a Panimalar campus to an outside world, okay, and the SOR is able to see that at 10 p.m. there is a huge volume of uploading of the data, and it finds that this is an abnormal, and normally 1 MB or 2 MB data has to go outside, but here there is a 100 MB of data that is going outside, and what it will try to do is it will try to activate on itself, and it will try to cut the connection, and the system will be isolated. Even though it is a false positive, it will be restored maybe later, at a later point. This is what is the major advantage of SOR, where the action will be taken automatically as per the policies defined. Okay, now we have Wazoo. In the case of these, Wazoo is, I don't know how many of you are knowing about Wazoo, but this XDR and EDR is maybe endpoint detection and response. Okay, it is having the capability to find viruses, Trojan within the endpoint. Endpoint means either it can be a server or it can be a desktop, to find and quarantine before it attacks. And there is a software which we are trying to use it. This is Wazoo. Okay, Wazoo is a super in monitoring the client system. Okay, it tries to collect what all the security events from the laptop or the desktop or the server, and it will try to communicate it to the manager. There is one service which is called as a Wazoo Manager. Wazoo Manager only has a dashboard, and there is one indexer. Wazoo indexer and dashboard is there. So there we will be getting the alerts. Based on the alerts, we will be trying to take the action. So the log analysis, you wanted any log analysis tools? Log analysis, anything you need? If,
Yes, sir.
okay,
In cloud computing, we need a log analysis tools.
okay, let me tell you. So in the case of log analysis, I will tell you, then in the cloud also it will be replicating. So the log analysis is, there is one service which we call it as a syslog service. Normally, in the case of Windows, you will be having multiple logs, application log, system log, security log, something like that. But in the case of Linux, where you have what we call as a syslog. So syslog is a person who collects the logs of the entire system, whatever the activity that happens within your server or within your application, that is website or something, everything is logged through syslog service. There are many services. Currently, if you want, you can use Logstash. Logstash is a tool, okay, which will collect more information and more useful if you wanted to explore. And there is one more thing which we called as a gray log. Okay, and for the normal one, you can stick on with rsyslog or syslog. These are the log collecting. Now coming back to the cloud. Suppose you wanted to have analysis on the cloud. See, cloud, see, most of the persons are hosting the services in AWS or Google Cloud or whatever it may be. The log analysis is something where you collect the logs, as I told you, using rsyslog or syslog or graylog or logstash. You collect the logs. The logs is shipped back to your, maybe the analysis part means maybe in your campus itself you are trying to what we can say, ship, or you are trying to forward the logs to an internal server. Once the log comes to the internal server, you will be able to do a lot of analysis using the logstash. Logstash, you will be able to control, maybe what we can say, we can uh, what I can say is log stash. Suppose you are getting a log from a laptop and you are getting a log from a server, or you are getting a log from a mobile device. All these three logs will be different. Okay, so you can't analyze. It will not have the same number of comma separated values or same number of fields. Okay, so log stash helps you to generalize this log collection part. Okay, so once it is generalized, you will be able to view it in tabular column or in a portal where you can make a decision based on what all activities is happening. And coming back to the log correlation, again, you can correlate between the authentication patterns. Everything is recorded in the log. We call auth log is there, mail log is there. Whatever things you want, you can customize it. So coming back to cyber threat intelligence, I don't want to work on this. Threat intelligence, as I told you, the threat intelligence is tapped by some trusted sources in the world. Okay. In India, there are many persons who are providing the threat intelligence, which we call as a threat feed. And there are some protocols. Okay. There are some protocols also. Stick is a protocol through which the thread feeds are given to others. Okay, so we can use. Then you wanted to know about the IOC concept. IOC is indicator of compromise. Threat intelligence will give you these are the IPs, or these are the hash, or these are the signatures which are vulnerable or which are suspicious. Try to block these IPs or signatures in your firewall or any other security devices. Okay, coming back, these are the MISP is one of the tool. Again, virus total MISP is again, as I told you, the trusted source is exposing the threats using a protocol called as stick. That stick application, what we called it in open source is MISP. MISP is an application. If you want to have the threat intelligence, that is what I mean by threat intelligence is what are the different ways in which the hacker is trying to exploit the system today, as on today. Those information is called as a threat intelligence. So those information you wanted to study means it is not just like a book where you can study. It has some framework, it has some pattern. That pattern is worked out by a tool called as MISP. Virus total is a powerful site to give you all the virus signatures, which can be used by your applications also to scan. When you are trying to scan, you if you wanted to develop an antivirus system, you can get the virus signatures from the virus total and try to develop and scan your systems. Now coming back to cloud security. So just I wanted to know, do you have any private cloud or in-house cloud or something like that? Or you rely on only the public clouds?
Only on public cloud, sir.
Only on public cloud. So, so if it is only on a public cloud, then we have to purchase some services, syslog services, particularly syslog services. And in the case of cloud security, what all things may go wrong, that also we will try to explain. Whatever is being applied to a server which is hosted publicly applies to cloud security also. So the main thing is there are firewall as a service. Okay, here you have many services, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Now you have firewall as a service also, you have a DNS as a service, and you have many software solutions as a service. So maybe we call it as an IDS, IPS is also considered as a services. Now what happens in the case of cloud, when you are hosting a any server in an AWS or a Google Cloud, these services should be purchased along with that. And the continuous monitoring and the feed, maybe you have to tap it into your internal server. Suppose you are going to monitor using again that also in the public cloud itself, it won't be that much. Maybe what I can say is financially it won't be so economical. Maybe it will not be so cheap actually. So what is the better solution is normally what we try to do in the case of cloud, AWS or whatever it is, we try to have the syslog service configured. That is, we will try to ship those logs to our servers which were kept in our campus. Okay. Once that log is received using the tool, as I mentioned, Logstash, we will try to analyze, decode the entire log information if there is any abnormality that is happening. This is one type of analysis, that is a continuous monitoring what you can do. Okay. One more thing, what we can do is, suppose you are hosting a public service. Okay. Now, I will tell you certain examples here. Suppose you are hosting a web application. Who is responsible for the security of that web application on the cloud? Any idea? Okay, I will tell. Okay. See, now everybody thinks that AWS or the cloud provider is responsible for the security of that VM or virtual machine or virtual machine. But that is not the case in the most of the things actually. See, the web application, the development of the web application itself, if it is not following any secure coding practice, okay, if it is not following any secure coding practice and it is open, now the hacker is able to easily attack that website. It is not the AWS or the cloud provider has to take a call, okay, because it is exposed. The weakness has been incorporated by the developer itself, and it is the responsibility of the owner to make sure these weaknesses are not there. Okay, for making once the weakness, as I told you, you cannot be 100% sure all the weakness has been closed. No, what we can do is we can close up to 80% of the weakness, 10% of the weakness will be there. Then the cloud security part comes. We have to buy the firewall as a service and IDS and IPS as a service, that is intrusion prevention and detection system as a service. There is also a DDoS as a service. So these and all will add on to the security of that VM virtual machines. Okay, cloud threat management, you have various standards, okay, for the cloud thing. Any other thing you wanted to have, ma'am? Any questions from anybody?
No, sir, it carry on. Thank you.
So now actually we have come to the end, I think so. It is about the penetration testing and zero trust architecture and SOC plus threat intelligence. If you have any questions or if somebody wants to know more, let me know so that because I am not able to see everybody. So if you have any doubts also, you can tell me. Okay, if you don't have any doubts, I will quickly cover on some topics. Okay, where the security is concerned. Normally, is it okay, ma'am? Any questions?
No, sir, it's okay, sir. You carry on, sir.
Will okay. Now, how does a hacker get inside actually your system? Without your knowledge, he will not be able to come inside. And the weakness, as I mentioned, every resource will be having some weakness through which he tries to come inside. So these weakness, to an extent possible, it has to be controlled. That is, the weakness has to be covered using either firewall or whatever it is, security devices, it has to be covered. Because if you feel that weakness has to be there, the weakness has to be there means you have to cover it using some security devices. So in the case of this website, he is trying to exploit through the weakness. But in the case of desktop or laptop, how does the hacker come inside? It is through, for an example, a click, one click, whatever you are trying to do. Maybe in the case of SMS, you are trying to click an SMS link where it is going to say that whether there is an offer for you or you have to file an income tax. So this is the due date. Click on this link to update your credential. So unknowingly, without knowing, you are clicking that thing and you are making some program to execute. Okay, so that program sits into your laptop or desktop. Okay. Okay. Mm. Now, see, in CDAC, I am heading a project at State Data Center, Tamil Nadu Data Center, Elkat Perungudi. We have our own team sitting at SOC. So normally we come across every week at an average, we come across something like around 10 vulnerabilities in state-run websites alone. Okay, and the incidents maybe it will be 4 to 5 incidents. So these are incidents and vulnerabilities. We take it to the department. We ask them to mitigate. Okay, the mitigation is a process where that weakness which is exposed, okay, the CERT-IN or the NCPAC or the IB is trying to find, as well as my team is also able to find those vulnerabilities, and we take it to the department, and the department fixes that vulnerability. Sir, the department has fixed the vulnerability today. Does it mean that there will not be any vulnerability tomorrow? No, because due to the technology advancement, new vulnerabilities keep on coming day by day. Then does it mean that you need to patch every day the service? No, it is not like that. Weakness is coming day by day, but if the weakness is very critical, it has to be patched immediately. If it is going to be very low, so you can take a call maybe 3 months once or a 6 months one. Those weak, that is low vulnerability, needs to also be addressed. This is the way in which the state departments are getting updated their side. But even if we are updating the weakness, as I mentioned, the hackers are within the system itself. They won't do any harm unless they find some suspicious day, suspicious, no, auspicious day. Normally, like that, they will try to act as a botnet. Botnet means they will try to trigger one day. That is like an explode. I hope you will be knowing what you mean by botnet. Botnet or a flooding of the packets to maybe flooding of the packets to one particular website may happen, so that entire site may get collapsed. These are the types of attacks that can happen regularly. Okay, normally when we had a Sindur attack also, we had the same uh, attack. Many attacks has happened in the data centers. We were trying to defend those things, because then we had during the COVID situation, we had many types of attack. So we try to regularly address. It is a day in and day out activity. We do normal penetration testing, we do vulnerability assessment regularly. Even though all this test also is in place, there are some weakness. How does the weakness comes in? That also we are trying to figure it out. What we have done is, maybe the department developers are there. Okay, they try to take a VPN. Okay, they try to copy some files. Okay, the files may be genuine, or it can be a virus contaminated files also. Once that comes into the server, it tries to propagate. This is how it happened. But this VPN connectivity we will not be able to avoid entirely. Definitely there will be a change. Maybe they may post some flash news or something. They keep on updating. So this is also required in the case of normal SOC activity. Now, tomorrow's session, actually, I'll be giving some live examples. Okay, live examples means actually whatever the real incidents that has happened, okay, in the state, as well as in the center, maybe from the national point of view, what are the real incidents that has happened, what was the loss that has created by that incident, and what was the mistake that actually initiated this type of huge. There is what we called as we call one silly mistake has led to a 2.2 crore has got transferred. In one case, there was 1,000 crore of loss. Okay, these type of incident, a real incident that has happened, maybe we will be coming across maybe 4 to 5 incidents, real time incidents, and other case studies also we will be talking about. Okay, is there any other thing I wanted to explain? Let me know if it is. Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your useful informations today, sir. And sorry, I make you some delay in the
Okay, ma'am. Okay, that's not an issue.
because of my network problems due to my internet connection.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. If there is no questions,
And
we can wind up, ma'am.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Participant, any more questions? Anything else you want to ask? Please ask. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
I
you, ma'am.
think you are very clear and you are explaining on the introduction. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, participant.
Participants will be posting the feedback alone now in the WhatsApp group and also to the mail. The combined for today's session and also for the tomorrow session will be posted by tomorrow at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.